Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Healing in Hindsight. I know you were nervous if I was coming back or not. I know that last episode was uh enlightening. That's what we'll call it. But I'm back. I'm feeling good, and I really want to just continue the conversation around spiritual health in relation to body health. So, with that, I'm going to be sharing some updates with me in regards to my health. Um, a little embarrassed about it, but it's just because I know I can do better. So just for a little hint there. But aside from that, just some thoughts that I've been having lately as I have been going really deep and inward into myself and really trying to understand myself and be better about how I treat myself. Because the way that I have, or rather, the more that I have a good relationship with myself spiritually and physically, the more I'm going to invest in treating my body better. I feel like I have gotten to a good place so far, but this is like the next step. Lots of growth, lots of transformation, lots of discipline that is it's a struggle, but we're going to keep at it. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
Perfect.
You're listening to Healing in Hindsight, your no BS source for thriving with diabetes. What's up, guys? I'm Taylor Danielle, and it's my goal to help millennial diabetics like myself live an amazing life without your diagnosis getting in the way. I get it. I was diagnosed back in 2015 with type 2 diabetes, and it was really hard to find people around my age to understand how to travel, socialize, or even have meaningful relationships. But I feel like with a focus on mindset, perspective, and nutrition, together we can take back our health and our lives. Consider this the red table talk, but for diabetics. Minus the entanglements, though. So let's do it.
All right. So, if you didn't check out last week's episode, which is also on IGTV, I really liked sitting down and being on camera for you guys. I thought I wasn't gonna care for it too much, to be quite honest, just because I have those moments of like I don't want to be seen, and it's nice to be able to record and just like roll out of bed and just start talking. So, but it feels nice. It felt good to um, be able to know that if you wanted to see my expression and kind of things like that, that it could. It was something I was planning on doing for a while. I just hadn't gotten everything together for it. And so now that I do have everything together for it, I'm really liking the results. As you can see, my background for those who are watching is a little bit different. I have converted my dining room into this like five-dimensional space. It is my art studio. It's my recording studio. It is still a dining room. And I have like an open shelf dishes kind of thing because my kitchen storage sucks. So all of my dishes are open and out on display on the wall. And then I also have a bookshelf in the corner that I am turning into like my miniature herb garden because it's right next to the kitchen. And after I went through the initial phase of houseplants, I wanted to get more into growing my own sources of food. But because I'm in an apartment, I just didn't want to go so big as to try a bunch of vegetables and stuff. I've done romaine lettuce and green onion before at a previous place, but I have much better lighting too. But I've invested in grow lights, things like that. To assist, and I'm converting a bookshelf to do that. I am actually growing some basil from some pho that my partner and I got like a couple of weeks ago. So I'm all for growing food from scraps because I think that's the best source. I already got it anyways. But I actually need to pot it. But I did take the leap in investing in some seeds for more edible flowers that can be used for tea, and then basic kitchen herbs. So I will be getting into starting those seeds, germinating them. I have been absorbing every garden show that I could find possible to have this venture. I would eventually like to have a homestead and have a greenhouse and raised garden to really just be able to source my own stuff. Um, and my interest in doing that, just really coincides with what I've been going through spiritually, in a sense of finally coming to a place of humility of like, okay, I have been working and keeping myself busy and not acknowledging, some of my insecurities and things like that, to the point where I just was completely depleted. And it started to just show up physically, like I explained last week. And so as I started, this kind of healing and exploration process with myself, um, I just kind of had this aha moment. And if you're already there, like, go easy on me, because I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other people who don't always come to this realization themselves. They hear about it, they see it with other people, but there's something about when it's you that comes to that conclusion. It just hits different. So I basically kind of had a realization that, the more that I work on my spiritual growth and connection with myself and listening more to myself intuitively, um, that I have really been highly sensitive to what my body needs. For example, I've been eating greens like crazy, more specifically like Caesar salads, but it's gotten to a point where it can literally just be the dressing and the leaves. Like, I don't even need the extra stuff. The extra stuff is fun. Like, if I want to throw some tomatoes and I think I was doing bell peppers and onions and banana peppers at one point, like, that's great. I can literally just do the leaves. And then I thought it was just romaine lettuce that I was like really jiving with and trying to get a bunch of. And, okay, maybe I'll try to grow some romaine lettuce from scraps or whatever. I don't know what it is about the, Costco and Sam's here in Austin, or at least the ones close to me. Could not get a bag to save my life, because I like to get, when I do greens, I like to get big bags. So I ended up doing big bags of spinach. And I was nervous because I got two. And I was like, well, I can put some in smoothies. I like to stir fry spinach sometimes. So it works out. And I'm pretty much done with one bag in maybe a week and a couple days. And most of it has been eaten raw and like big bowls of it. Um, and then I've been noticing kind of this strange thing happening to me. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. And one time I made a bowl of just spinach leaves and the Caesar dressing. And it's like no sugar. I think it's maybe like 10 carbs, which I know translates to sugar, but there's no additional basically. So I definitely made sure that I'm not drowning anything in dressing that is adding to any strain with keeping my blood sugar levels normal. But it's either that or mixed nuts. Now, last night I grabbed the wrong container and I grabbed my mixed nuts with dried fruit. And something else that's been going on is I like pretty much the week of Thanksgiving, I just haven't been taking my meds. I know I took my meds Thanksgiving Day. That's about it. And part of it is one of my prescriptions, because I'm on two medications. I keep forgetting to call up to the pharmacy that my doctor sent it to, because I normally do the mail-in, but because I needed to refill it quickly because it's paired with my main metformin prescription. My doctor sent it to the pharmacy down the street from my house. And the pharmacy called me and they needed my insurance information. And I was in the process of getting the, renewed insurance information. But I just hadn't called them back yet to give them that. What about like 2 weeks? 3 weeks? It might have been longer, y'all. Time has been flying for me. So I kind of let that be an excuse for not taking my meds. Now, the prescription that I need, I have it, but it's not the same type. This is like a similar extended release, because that's the type of metformin I'm on. and glipizide is the second prescription that I take, but it's like glipizide XL or something like that, or something. But I do have, a bottle of glipizide from when I was taking it previously, and then my doctor took me off before we moved on to the extended metformin to see if like that would help. And the glipizide has really like brought me even. So even though I have extras in that, it just didn't feel right taking it because it's an older setup, and I kind of was torn between like, okay, is this really gonna help or not? I don't know. But I've been letting that be a crutch for like, well, if I don't have the other medication that I need, there's really no point in me taking my extended release. Like I've just been having this whole debate in the back of my mind when the reality is that I was in such a place of strain and exhaustion that I just didn't want to. And there's a bit of guilt with that because I know for like my type 1 folks, you don't get to do that. You know what I mean? And I recognize a bit of the privilege that I have in that. Granted, it's still doing havoc on my body, and that's the other thing that I recognize is if I don't take my medication and I'm not checking my blood sugar, because the first time I checked it was today, sadly, sorry, but I won't know where I'm at simply because um, I'm not even keeping track of like where I'm at. And I'd been thinking about getting, a constant glucose monitor or CGM, because I felt like, I was actually doing really good. And that's the crazy part. Like my numbers were doing good in the mornings, but that's the only time that I check. And so I do feel like there are moments where it'd be nice to kind of see where I'm at in the middle of the day. Um, just to be completely honest, when I checked my blood sugar this morning, it was at 294. And part of that is, again, like 3 in the morning, my body was just like, give me something. Um, and instead of the mixed nuts that I meant to go for, I went for like the mixed nuts with dried fruit. And it's dried cranberries and mango. And I purposely was trying to dig around that, but it wasn't working. So I know that there's an aspect of that is, I just had dried fruit, which typically is a little bit heavier than sugar. Now, this mix is still pretty good, but 3 a.m., there's no way that I was going to have decent numbers in the morning without doing something, to go for a run or something to burn it off. Because I just went back to sleep. But it's definitely something that even when I was talking to my therapist about it, like, okay, cool. Every time that I'm doing this, it's mostly greens. It's mostly just regular mixed nuts. Again, last night was the first time that I reached for something that had anything else, but it's still strange. Um, but the bigger thing is that I've just been craving greens, just vegetables, but really leafy greens like crazy. And no, I'm not pregnant, just to be clear, because what I've mentioned a time or two to friends are like, no, it ain't that. Um, and I feel like that it just really does have to do with a lot of like me finally going on the spiritual journey with myself of, committing to meditating every morning and journaling and really grounding myself before I do anything else. I've been trying to not be on my phone first thing in the morning because I'm real good for that. Immediately get to the scroll, and then my mind is already thrown off and I'm scatterbrained because I'm looking at 50 different things. I'm looking at this email, I'm looking at this Instagram post, this Facebook post, missed text messages. Like, I'm not focused. And so, for the most part, with the exception of one day, yeah, just one day, I have started my morning off with bottled water, meditation. I'll do a reading for myself, and then journaling. And the journaling, especially, it's always something that I've done, but this is the most consistent I've been in a while, and that feels good too. And I'm getting ready to work into more things, which is yoga and art journaling. I really want to kind of fuse all my systems, but I'm also kind of a completionist in a way because I always used to struggle with completing things, especially journals. So I really want to finish the journal that I have, my bullet journal that I typically use for my planner type stuff, um, I'm almost done with that. And I really want to I have an old happy planner, undated happy planner, and I have the hole puncher. So I feel like I can use that to be my art journal, my, thoughts, feelings, whatever, and my planner. Um, because the pages are removable. I can prep the pages. I can shore them up for any wet mediums that I use. I just kind of like having it all in one place, and I have a cover for it. Um, and so it makes the Happy Planner system really work for me, because if there are pages that I want to add, if there's like, um, you know, what I have, like mixed medium or watercolor paper, I can hole punch it and put in there. It just gives me a lot of options that I just really didn't think about. When I started, even stumbled upon the Happy Planner years ago, um, I liked the customization of it, especially when I got the undated, because I'm not one to fully have it laid out every day. Now, the Passion Planner is my second favorite. I really do love the Passion Planner. That's probably the only other planner system that I've consistently used. Um, so that one's hard too. And I did the dated one at first, but the undated, especially their daily setup, like I do like that. I like a little bit of structure and I like a little bit of unstructured. Like give me the calendar, but I like to be able to lay my days out how I want to. And so um, that's why structured planners sometimes don't work for me, because then I feel this need to fill in every space. So, in going back to the Happy Planner system, it's giving me more options essentially to make it what I need to be. So, all of that is just really folding into this recognition of like, when you really start to pay more attention to yourself internally, everything else, it's like a ripple effect. A friend of mine and I were talking, and she was like, your body, your mind, and your spirit are all trying to fight for power, and be the one driving the vehicle. But at the end of the day, your body really has no. She phrased it a lot better than I'm doing it, but just like, your body really shouldn't be calling the shots like that. It's your tuning fork, it's your protector, if you will. It's the vessel that you're housed in, and it'll give you signs of like, hey, I need a tune up, kind of like a car. you know um your car will show you signs that it needs gas, or that something needs to be fixed, right? But it's not making decisions. It's not the one turning the steering wheel of like, okay, we're going to go right, we're going to go left, we're going to stop. Like, that's all you or your mind that's doing it. And so when I started to think of it that way, that's when I kind of realized, okay, the more that I pour into myself, the more that I really show self acceptance and work through a lot of my insecurities and things like that, the more I want to do for my body. Another kind of strange thing. So, like, hello, hair, right? Right? Looks good, right? Right? Um, I really enjoyed washing my hair. And normally it's a chore. Normally it's like, oh my God. But, especially when I've had it in braids for a little bit, it feels nice to just feel my hair. And it just became this relaxing, almost ritual like experience, because I saw my hair in a different light than, oh my God, this is something else to do. And so I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. And I do remember when I was taking the self care workshop with Danica Brescia, like taking those moments to not make it seem like a chore. Like, yes, you need to nourish yourself, but it's more like a small ritual of, this is how I take care of myself. I actually was working with a sensuality coach for a little bit, and even she told me, like, when I eat, you know, eat, don't have any distractions, sit at your table, no distractions, no phone, no nothing, and really savor your food. Really take your time, take in the scent, the texture. She's like, treat your food like your lover, like you want to take your time, right? And it makes the experience all that more fulfilling. It makes it seem like you enjoy it more, because you've really taken your mind to focus in on enjoying these things. And so that's kind of how I'm treating things, is as I am really honing in on my meditation and my spiritual practice, it just makes me want to ensure that my car, if you will, is in the best condition that it can be, but I'm still accepting it where it's at, you know, because that is something that I'm struggling with. It's actually the theme of my vision board for the upcoming year. Y'all, it's about to be 2021. And I'm not freaking out. That's not how I'm feeling. It's just kind of like crazy because could have sworn yesterday we were just shutting everything down. You know, like it was just January. I just turned 30, and now I'm on the edge of being 31 because my birthday's in January, and we're on the edge of a new year, and there's a lot that's changing, and so much. So I am really invested in making sure the mind and the spirit behind the car is really well fine tuned, and that the vehicle, or my body that I'm in is not only accepted fully, because I feel like only in full acceptance can I truly have a better spiritual connection. Um, because I'm saying, hey, God, I appreciate everything that I've been through and everything that I am right now. There was a moment when I was like doing my gratitude portion of my journal where I just had this aha moment of like, every time that I shame myself or really lean into my insecurities in a negative way, it's almost like I'm saying, "Hey God, like you screwed this up. This being you screwed it up." And instead, I'm looking at it from a lens of, "Okay, I'm not perfect, but if I'm made this way, it's for a reason, and I have free will to adjust and choose and pivot and take action on whatever I need to." So by accepting my flaws and insecurities and working into the root of why I'm insecure about those things and coming into a place of acceptance, then that's when I truly feel like my spiritual path will take off, because it is just surrendering to, this is what it is and that's okay, but we can strive for better. And so I feel like this is what's going to propel me forward and to a better place with my diabetes. um I went on a whole like deep show documentary binger, Britt Olson over at Loving Your Own Soul. When I did my guest episode with her, she had mentioned to me to check out Psychedelica, which is a show on the Gaia channel, which is, I believe you can subscribe to it through Amazon. But they just explore the ideas of plant medicine, and especially a lot of plant medicines that are shunned, like cannabis, um, THC based cannabis, um, psychedelic mushrooms, DMT, LSD. Like, well, I guess LSD doesn't count as a plant, but you get what I'm going with. And how we are missing out on studies where a lot of this stuff, with the exception again of LSD, um, it's coming straight from the ground. So how is it that if it's coming straight from the ground and the research that is happening, or has happened with it, is showing a lot of honestly interesting data that could help progress us forward, to help us become more in tune with our bodies. And so, even with mental health, and back when we were tribes and villages, the crazy person that, or at least who we would deem the crazy person, they weren't looked at as crazy, they were looked at as gifted. And there was this documentary that I watched called Crazy Wise that is on Amazon Prime, that I really appreciated, in a sense of not taking on mental health issues as something that just always needs to be treated with medication. Um, you know, one lady, she goes through a whole shamanic initiation, and I've never been really just too against shamanism. I think when people take it to like an extreme of they're doing evil witchcraft. It's just like, no, it's the same as a priest in a church. They're they're the megaphone for the spiritual, right? And they guide others to the spiritual. It's just like a priest that you would go to in a church. Um, but that's how you kind of potentially could be into the role of a shaman, or the spiritual leader or healer of the village or tribe would walk people who were experiencing these crazy kind of mental breakdowns through rituals or exercises that helped them to navigate and sometimes even utilize it. Especially for my empaths out there, they probably would have deemed us super crazy back then. But I just dove into everything, right? Um, and especially like growing your own food and urban gardening and you know a lot of the climate issues that's coming from us, you know, taking farming and agriculture to a corporate level, basically. Um, it just all kind of fell back to, if we don't get to a place of acceptance with self, then we'll keep leaning into these bigger entities that will make decisions for us and eventually end up pouring into us um, substances and things that we just don't need. So there's still a lot, and I'm curious as to what other people's opinions are on the connection between spirituality and health. Some people in some cultures see illnesses as a deeper root into something that's going on with you. Now, I could see that in some regards, um, but it still doesn't change that I have a responsibility to take care of my body. And my particular spiritual walk is the thing that is propelling me forward into that. I was really for it before, but now it's like it almost feels detrimental that as I am going through this transformation and really going deeper into myself, that I have to take care of my body. So that way I can see more and I can feel more and I can, know that I am treating my vessel in the best way possible, to go forth and do better things. So I'm curious as to what y'all's experiences have been. Um, I know a lot of different religions and cultures. Um, that's a big piece. Your spiritual health is directly connected to your physical health. Especially when you look at monks and nuns and a lot of the diets and things that people go through in like their journey to deeper spiritual devotion, if you will. Um, and how illness can sometimes, be directly linked to a block, that you're dealing with. Um, so yeah, let me know if that is something that you are knowledgeable in or that you resonate with or don't. I'm open to all opinions because I think it's important that we have a conversation about it. Um, but as for me and mine's, I really do feel like there is a direct connection, and although I've fallen off, um, I'm aware, and because I'm aware, I need to move forward and doing the right thing by my body and taking my meds and eating the right foods. Not even, I don't even like saying right foods. Eating the foods that are best serving for my body. Let's go with that because what I eat might not be right for the next person. So it's all about what your body needs and how it works best. Right now, it's every leafy raw green in the world. I don't know what it is, but me, spinach, um, romaine lettuce. I haven't had a craving for kale, but I keep eyeing it. So, you know, it might happen. I'm not against kale. Raw kale is not my favorite if I don't have the right dressing or something with it, but I do like cooked kale. So, um, but lately raw foods have been my thing. So, yeah, let me know. Um, Next week, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll just be honest then. I don't know what I'm going to bring you guys, but I really like this idea and this concept of you know, diving deeper into our bodies and into ourselves. Um, I might do a holiday thing because I know that Christmas is coming up. Um, but I think that'll, I think I want to do more of a gratitude thing because I didn't get to do that for you guys for Thanksgiving. And, like I said last week, I was struggling with gratitude, but now I am very much feeling better, and it's a lot easier for me to be grateful for things. Um, so I might even play around with that. We'll see. I don't know. Thank you for your time and for hanging in there and for listening to my musings and ramblings because again, I really do this for the diabetic community and us having conversations and being able to understand our bodies more and how we can just set ourselves up for greater success and awesome blood sugar numbers because we know that's important. So until next time, you know where to find me: Instagram, Facebook, um, healinginhindsight.com. Don't be afraid to say hi. And hey, if you have a story to tell about you and your diabetes and you want to share it, hit me up. This is 100% an open platform for those who want to share. I am open to all walks of life and opinions and want to make sure that your voice is heard as well. So head over to my website, go to the contact page, drop me a line, or send me a DM on Instagram, and let's chat and see how we can collaborate and get your voice out there. Till then, I will see you guys next week.